Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome along to tonight's Pro Membership Training webinar on Real Estate Investor. Tonight, I'll be taking you through the Pro Membership tools and hopefully help you find and research great deals using the platform. And after tonight's training session, really want to ensure that you're going to get the maximum benefit from your membership. So welcome along, everyone. I see there's a fair few new members that are tuning in tonight. So if you haven't had a training session or watched any videos, this is definitely going to help you get started. Now, my name is Dennis Wong, so I'm a portfolio manager here. I've been using the tools myself for the past 3 years. I've been investing for around 10 years myself and currently support over 500 members who utilize the Pro membership tools. I've got some personal experience with renovations, buy and hold, cash flow positive properties as well. And my goal tonight is to help you find and research great deals using the platform. Now, if you do have any questions at all tonight, or if you'd like to see anything in more detail, just feel free to type that into the questions section on the control panel on your GoToWebinar screen, and I'll be more than happy to go through that, and we'll have time for a Q&A session at the end as well. So what I thought I might do, make it a little bit interactive, is I want to ask you guys tonight, as I go through the demo, which strategy would you like me to demonstrate specifically? So obviously everyone's got different strategy, but I'll, depending on time, I might go through one or two, maybe go through two, definitely go through at least one. So I'm going to launch that on screen. And if you just click on screen which one you'd like me to focus on tonight specifically, I'll be more than happy to do that. Obviously, if you've got questions about other strategies, happy to accommodate as well. All right, so it's a very close call tonight, so we're getting a fair few on cash flow, renovations. All right, so I'll just keep that open for a couple more seconds, guys. Just got over just 80% that have voted. All right, fantastic. So I'll just close that off and share that with the audience. So we have a tie between cash flow and renovations. So look, if we have permitting time, I'll show you both. And look, these training webinars we will be running on a fortnightly basis, and we'll ensure that we're going to rotate the strategies as well. But I'll talk about some of the pre-recorded videos that you can watch on demand that we have on different strategies as well. So thanks for your participation, guys. I'll start off with renovations, and if we have time, I'll look at cash flow. All right, so let's get straight into it, the live demo. So I'm going to switch screens now, and hopefully you guys will be able to see my homepage. All right, fantastic. So guys, when you're starting out, obviously you're looking for deals. You probably don't have an idea of what sort of properties you're looking for or what areas to be looking for, and so that's where Investor Search is going to help you save a lot of time finding properties. Compared to the free sites, there's a lot more filters that you can use to really target a particular strategy that you're focusing on. So if I click into Investor Search, and for those that are new members, Investor Search taps into over 35 different property portals across Australia. Now we do partner with Domain, so if a property is advertised on multiple sites, we'll always and it is on Domain, we'll point you to the listing on Domain. But if not, we do point you to other sites like Gumtree or eBay, All Homes. There's a lot of other sites out there on the internet. So when searching, the best recommendation I tell my clients is less is more. Start off with less criteria, get more results back, and then you can always filter down, add more filters and reduce that list. Now, this is going to be more relevant for those that are looking at buying and holding property long term, but it's always good to set this up anyway. I recommend that you actually go to your My Default profile if you haven't already. This allows you to actually set up your basic financial situation. So for the next property that you're looking at, what is the type of loan you've been pre-approved of? You're looking at principal and interest only. What's the interest rate? The level of deposit that you have for your purchase, your loan costs. So some of these fees you may not be 100% on, but if you can be as close or to what you think it may be, or use worst case scenario figures, then it's going to help with the forecasting a little bit later on. I'll show you what I mean by that. Market factors, so CPI is inflation. This is going to affect forecasting from a rental and expenses point of view in terms of how much you'll increase each year. So this links into Property Analyzer, which I'll talk about a little bit later. That's about crunching the numbers. And so we'll forecast that over a 10-year period. Capital growth, again, it's going to be different for every type of property in a particular suburb. So again, if you use a conservative figure, that's probably the best way to start. You've got the ability to put in the entity that you're looking at purchasing the property under, whether it's under your own ownership, under your name, perhaps under a trust, self-managed super fund. That's important because from a forecasting point of view, when we're calculating your after-tax cash flow, different entities will have different tax structures in place. So it's a good thing to just set that up as well, which will make your forecasting a lot more accurate. And then finally, you've got your property expenses. So you can either enter them as a dollar value or a percentage of the property purchase price. Again, there's no set default because every council, every suburb state is going to be different. But again, if you just put in a worst case scenario figure, for example, then when you go to actually analyze a specific deal, you'll have the opportunity to ask the listing agent what the actual expenses are, because they should be able to ask the vendor what they are. You can then update the actual report, which will obviously give you much more accurate reporting. All right, so that's your default profile. I would recommend that you set that up initially, and I'll show you where the snapshot information or where that data is going to be used. All right, so when searching from a location point of view, you can simply just type in suburbs, and it will add it to the top there. You can put in multiple suburbs, so you're not limited to just the one, and you can add as many really as you like. You can also search by a region or locality. You can click on the actual map, so I can search all of Queensland, for example, and it then does break up different regions. And if you select a particular region, it will then update the suburb list as well, so you can see what suburbs fall under that region. Another popular way to search, especially if you're looking at renovations, perhaps you're looking at doing some of the renovations yourself, you don't want to travel too far, then you can do a radius search. So you can simply click on more location options, change the location advance from limit postcode to search radius. And then you could say, well, show me every properties in suburbs that are within 30 kilometers of a postcode. And I'll put in, say, Brisbane CBD, 4,000. If you don't know the postcode, that's fine. You can click on postcode search. That will link you through to Australia Post, and you can quickly look that up. Price range. So put in your budget, so whatever your maximum budget is. So let's just say your budget is $450. Now, I actually recommend that you go up to the next tier up, so say $475, because you don't want to miss out on a property that might be asking, say, $455 or $460, but it's really only worth maybe $430. So you want to have a look at that opportunity anyway. So you just go up a little bit. And a good tip as well, if you want to exclude any properties that have no price, or it's when agents say, contact me for price, or it's going to auction, you can actually set the price range from all to 1, and that will exclude anything with no price. Okay, keyword strategy. So this is where it's going to save you a lot of time finding properties that meet your strategy. And a real estate investor will then allow you to spend more time analyzing and research properties that meet your strategy. So under keyword strategies, we've got up to 8 specific strategies here. If we select renovate, we've already pre-ticked keywords that we believe a real estate agent will use in the ad that is promoting a renovation potential opportunity. So we've got keywords like add value, cosmetic, paint, renovation, renovator's delight, TLC, etc., etc. So you can untick them and select specific ones. So let's just say you're only looking for a cosmetic renovation, then you can leave that ticked only. So again, if you're just starting out, less is more, so I would recommend that you leave all the keywords ticked. And you do have the ability to use the free text search as well, and you can add in your own keywords or exclude keywords too. All right, we get to the property details section. So just like other sites, you've got the ability to select a specific property type, number of bedrooms, bath, car as well. Now you do have the ability to click on some drill downs here, so you can click on more property specific options and also more suburb specific options. So if you're searching on a regular basis, like on a weekly basis, I recommend that you use the listing age filter, set the maximum to say 1 week. That way then it'll only show you the past week's worth of listings that have hit the mark, and you're not looking at opportunities that you've already looked at last week and you've already eliminated as an opportunity. From a renovation point of view, the other filter that I recommend you definitely should start off using is percentage of suburb median. Because when you're renovating, you want to buy something that's below the median of the area. Because you don't want to buy something that's at the median or above, because you've got the risk of overcapitalizing after the renovation. So the lower below the median that you can get, the better the opportunity for renovating at a profit. So generally speaking, we say, set at maximum of 80%. What that means is if the median listing price for a 3-bedroom house in a suburb is $100,000, then by me setting at 80%, it means it will only show me properties listed at $80,000 or less. All right, so once you've got the basic filters set and you're happy with that, to save you time having to redo that process again tomorrow when you log in or next week, you can click on Save This Search. And this will then allow you to give it its own name, and you can name it whatever you like. And you can also activate email alerts. And so you can say daily, monthly, or weekly, or every 3 days. And you can click Save Search, and that will disappear. And if you scroll to the top of the screen in Investor Search, all your saved searches are available by clicking on My Saved Searches. It will drop down, and you'll be able to see the list of all the ones that you've saved. You can edit them. You can delete them once you finish them as well. On the left-hand side, we have your watch list. So that's where you access properties that you've actually saved that you want to come back and look at a later time. And so all you need to do is when you're in the listing, just click on the star there to turn it yellow, and that will add it to your watch list. All right, so from here, once you're happy with your filters, then we can simply search. So let's click search, and let's see how many results we get back based off the criteria that we've entered. So it's come back, we've just searched 1.2 million listings, thereabouts, and we've got 122 opportunities that match my criteria that I put in there. So at this point, I'm not going to go through all 122, but what you can do then, if you can refine your criteria, narrow that down. So on the left-hand side, you can actually click on that little toolbar there that says click for search, refine filters. A menu will pop out and you'll get access to all the filters from the previous home screen. So what I might do is go, all right, let's reduce the radius a little bit. I'm going to be a little bit closer to the CBD. Let's go to, say, 20 kilometers. And let's just say, look, I want a minimum 3-bedroom house to renovate. Hit update. That will then refine your result list, and that should make it a little bit more targeted. Now I'm down to 43. So what you were looking at now is numbers. Real estate investors are all about the numbers. Love the numbers, not the property. That's what we're all about. You can access all the property pictures, the video that the agent has uploaded by clicking on the link underneath the photo, but we're all about data. And so if I scroll down to, say, the second one there, just because of the first one there, I noticed it's probably a unit or a townhouse given the address. And look, no fault of the system. It's just that the agent has listed it as a house. But if we look at this one in Ferny Hills, it's asking $370,000, sitting at 75.7% of the median listing price. And then in the box in the middle are the stats for that type of property in the suburb of interest. So for 3-bedroom houses in Ferny Hills, for example, the median listing price is $489,000. It's increased over the past 12 months by 4.9%, median weekly rent $440 a week. So there's a lot of good information there. The graph there is the median listing price for 3-bedroom houses in the suburb as well. So you can see that from 2012 January, the median listing price for 3-bedroom houses has been increasing. You can hover over it as well just to find out what that median listing price is. Green essentially just indicates that it's increased from the previous period. The periods are 12 months, but you'll notice there's a couple of bars there that are in grey. That just means that it's a 3-month period instead of being a 12-month period. And then obviously anything in red means it's decreased from the previous period. All right, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to scroll down slightly just because there's no snapshot available with this Ferny Hills property. So if you remember what I talked about, the default profile, so if there's actually enough information in the ad, i.e. the rent, then our system can actually generate a snapshot for you just to show you in year 1 and year 10 what your potential return is going to be. So based off an asking price of $275, and in the ad it obviously has noted $350 a week in rent, it's worked out that the cash flow per annum pre-tax, so in year 1, it's going to be $1,247 positive. and your potential gross yield is 6.6%. Total return, cash flow and capital growth, a little bit over $8,000. So that's based off the default profile information that I've entered. So if you've put in worst case scenario figures and it's cash flow positive, that's obviously going to be a good sign. So at that point, that's where you can click on Analyze in Full, and you'll be able to link into Property Analyzer and update the information to the actual expenses, actual loan details, actual purchase price that you end up buying it at. So you'll notice here, it automatically pre-populates the information. So it's advertised at $275, doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to pay that price. Let's just say from all the research that you've done, most that you're willing to pay for the property is say $265. Okay, estimated value, so we haven't gone to that stage yet, but this is where you can go to My Value, My Research to get a valuation estimate. I'll leave that as is, and then we hit next. This will then provide you a 10-year snapshot, and I can click on Show All Years 0 to 10 of what this property would look like based off the default profile data that I entered. So if you remember, we had a 4% capital growth rate, 1.7% CPI. So you can see how the value of the property increases based off the information that I've entered. So if I bought it today and it's worth $275, then in 10 years time, based on an on average 4% capital growth rate year in, year out, it'll be worth about a little bit over $400,000. From a cash flow point of view, under the statistics section here, we've got your rental income, $350 per week. So in year one, annualized, it's $18,200. There's your gross yield, net yield's calculated for you, and then it deducts the property expenses, interest repayments, and there's your pre-tax cash flow per annum and also per week. Now, like I mentioned before, this is still using the default profile data. So if you scroll to the top of the page, we have an edit button there. So if you click on edit, this will give you essentially a 3-page wizard to allow you to update any of that information to be more accurate. So you can see here we've got stamp duty. You can use the calculator that's built in there, solicitor's costs, capital improvements at purchase. So that's going to be good if you're renovating, obviously. Other costs, there's your loan information down the bottom there. Click on rent and expenses. This will then allow you to update this information. So given, if you're looking at a strata property, I had no body corporate allowance there, so obviously you want to add that in there as well. Once you update all that information, tax and market, so you've got your CPI, you can update that as well, capital growth. So we do provide you historical growth. Now you can see it's actually a little bit lower than what my default profile has, so I can actually update that. Let's just say I'll be a little bit more conservative, use 2.5%. That won't override the default profile. Okay, this is essentially just updating for this specific property. We have a depreciation calculator there as well. Now you don't have to use it if you don't want to. You can untick that checkbox. Hit results. It will then update that report for me. Okay, so that's Property Analyzer. Then down the bottom we got your depreciation, total deductions, potential tax refund, after-tax cash flow per annum and per week. So this is going to be really good if you're looking at renovating and holding a property, or trying to work out whether it's better for you to renovate and hold or renovate and sell. Is there going to be good cash flow for that property? Or if you're just looking at buying a cash flow positive property, put all the numbers in here. You can save all these reports, so you simply click on Add to Save, and that will then allow you to access it at a later date. Okay, so if I go back to investor search, so let's scroll back up to that property we were looking at in Fernie Hills. So if you want to get more information, we can click on See Full Property Details. That will expand, and it'll actually then give us the actual text from the ad. So you can see there in the darker gray color in the ad, the keywords that were highlighted. So we can see there that it says reno, potential. Reno was highlighted a couple of times on here. So, I mean, the title of the ad is High Set Home Ripe for Renovation. So at this point, you can click on the link under the picture. Let's get an idea on the current state of the property. Is it going to require a lot of work? Do I have the time to do that? So you can see there, it's the typical old Queenslander. There's obviously there's potential here to do some work on the exterior, paint, get some more street appeal, probably a new fence, update the landscaping there. That doesn't cost too much. Potentially the driveway as well. So it's really good just to get an idea. Okay, is this going to be a type of renovation that I can do? Now inside's actually quite good. So they've actually, they've already got good floors in place. There's good bones. Looks like they've updated the light fixtures as well. They've got downlighting already in there. It's probably more from the outside. Bathroom needs updating, but the main living area seems to be okay. That looks like it might probably the downstairs area. bedrooms. So there's definitely potential there. Kitchen, all right. So you get an idea, and backyard as well. So that's why you would go to the listing as well, just to get an idea, okay, what the current property looks like. All right, let's go back to investor search. So a couple of extra things from a renovation point of view that you can get access to. So on the right-hand side there, in the table there, you've got some suburb stats. So you've got things like vacancy rates, average days on market, current listings. Really, really useful just to give you an idea on how quickly properties are moving in the area. Are properties being tenanted? Or is there a lot of stock available where it's vacant? And obviously, if you're looking at holding property, you want to make sure you can rent it out. Also, if you scroll down at the we give you a snapshot on the sales listings that are available in that area. So this is all bedroom types, not just the number of 3 bedrooms specifically to this property. So we can see that there's 63 properties currently on the market in Ferny Hills, 56 of them are houses. But I guess what I want to highlight here is from a renovation point of view, one of the key things that indicate whether a suburb is ripe for renovation is that there are properties in a number of price brackets. And so you can see here that we've got 2 properties in the 300 to 400 mark, but the majority of properties are between that 400 to 600, and there are a few in the higher end as well. Now, where there's 8 properties with no price, that just means that the agent is advertising it as going to auction or contact agent for price. So the fact that this property is being advertised at offers over 370, we can see that we are in that lower end of the market. So there's definitely room to allow us to renovate and hopefully then get revalued into one of the higher price brackets. Now, if you notice that that there's all property, when you're doing your research and you notice there's only properties in one price bracket, that's obviously going to be a risk, because when you finish renovating it, it's going to be hard for a valuer to look at comparables in a higher price range to get you up to that next tier. But when you've got precedence in the area, it makes it so much easier, and it makes it easier for you to reduce that risk and for you to forecast and budget what you're potentially going to resell at. All right, so from here, once you've identified a property of interest, then you can simply copy the address or just take note of the address. And this is where we then go into My Value, My Research. This is where we link into our data provider, APM Price Finder. So whenever you have any address of interest, a suburb that you want to get any information on, My Value, My Research is the best place to go. And this gives you access to all over Australia. You're not limited to any state or any particular area. You can look up any residential property history, get a valuation estimate, obviously as long as there's enough sales activity in the area through this tool. Now, this information used to be limited to really real estate agents, brokers, and the banks, but now as investors, through Real Estate Investar, you're going to be able to get this access to the same information, help you with your negotiation, and make you more confident when you're putting in an offer. So one of the key tips I like to give my clients is that just make sure you're in the right state. So wherever you're based, that will default to that state. So just make sure you change it if you are looking outside your area. Best way to search is if you have a specific address, just type it into that address bar at the top there. You should find it, the registered address in the system, simply select it. If it doesn't pop up down the bottom there, just delete the suburb and the comma, and then it should reload and find it, because sometimes what's registered in the system might just be slightly different to what's obviously advertised on the ad. Select it, it will automatically default to property report. That's the only option that we have. Let's click on the search icon there, and this will order you a property report, and you get a lot of good information on this report. So you do have access to photos as well. Now this is really good if you're looking at, say, comparable post-renovation properties. You may be able to find what the property used to look like before the renovation. That really allows you to then to see what is possible in the area and if it's comparable to yours. So in the property report here, you can scroll down. Now in some states you'll be able to access the owner name information, the owner address details. You can see how long they've owned it for. The left-hand side will provide you with a sale estimate. So this is based off comparable sales in the area. Now it does also give you a confidence score. Now when you get a red color and it says do not use, it doesn't mean it's not a good investment property. It just means there hasn't been enough comparable sales close to this property to be confident of that 475,000 sale estimate. So you shouldn't use that. But I'll show you how you can be more accurate in the research tools that we have to be able to use. As you scroll down, this is where you access the sales history. So you can actually see what the property sold for previously, and this is all coming from the Valuer General's office or the titles office. So unlike the free sites like realestate.com or Domain, where sometimes the agent will update the sold price straight away, that price can actually change. And I've actually seen a few examples where the actual sold price has dropped, but on the ad it actually has remained the same. So this is coming directly from the titles office. Where available, we have phone numbers as well. For sale history, now this is a really, really fantastic set of information you get access to, because you can actually work out how long that property's been on the market for. Now, agents don't obviously want you knowing that, because they obviously want to give you the impression that a property's hot, it's just hit the market, there's a lot of offers coming through. But as we can see, this property's actually originally hit the market on the 3rd of February, offers over $400,000. And they've updated the ad a couple of times, but a couple of weeks later, they've now dropped it to offers over $370,000. So just to give you a good idea on perhaps how motivated the seller may be, perhaps it's overpriced. You know, it's just a good way to get a good understanding of, okay, what is the property potentially worth? How motivated is the seller? Can I potentially get the property at a further discount? Scrolling down, rental history as well. So if it's been advertised online for rent, you'll be able to access that information there as well. There's some basic property description information. Queensland and South Australia will provide land valuation information as well. So this is what the unimproved value of the block itself is. So just handy to know. Nearby planning and development applications, good for those that are looking at subdividing or developing. This just gives you up to a dozen applications that are currently lodged with council within a 2-kilometre radius of your target property. And then finally down the bottom, this is the actual sales and growth chart for the suburb of interest. So you can see exactly how many sales have occurred in a particular year and how the median price has changed. All right, so if I scroll back to the top of the page, in this this property report can be printed. You can simply click on print page and export options at the top right corner there. There's a few different PDF options available, so it's just up to you which one you prefer. Print property report photo is probably the best one, or print my value report will include the valuation estimate as well. All right, so on this property report itself, there's actually some tips and tricks I can actually give you. So on the top right corner of the map here, or photo, we have a yellow map, and this is actually an interactive map that you can click on. So if you click on the map, it will actually expand and overlay Google Maps, and we can zoom out, zoom in as far as you like, and obviously if the quality of the Google map, the maps from Google is good, then this is going to be really, really powerful. So what I want to show you is then, when you zoom out, on the right-hand side, you've got some map layers that you can switch on and off. Now, we've got property easements already turned on, so that's those bars in pink. It just means there's an easement there, and you need to be aware of that. So if you're looking at potentially buying a property that has an easement on it, definitely worthwhile doing a title search and finding out exactly what easement is registered on there. Now, property shading is the feature I want to show you. You can tick property shading, and by color, it will show me everything that's sold in the last 3 years. And at the top there, it just shows you that the legend. Yellow is the last 12 months, light blue last 24 months, and dark blue last 36 months. Now, if you change it to sold price, this gives you an idea now on the value on the street, in the block, in the suburb. Now, if you're looking at renovating, this is going to be really, really handy, because they always, you may have heard of buying the worst property in the best street. So you can see here that in Patrick's Road here, most properties have sold in that light blue category, which is between 350 and 500. There is one there in purple down the end here. You can click on any of these properties. So this one, last sale, $3,000. So probably not an arm's length sale. It could have been a divorce. It could be a deceased estate. So that's obviously not a comparable that I would recommend that you would use, but you can click through on any of these properties just to find out quickly what the sale price is. Okay, so you can also turn on other labels as well, so you can change it to what's for sale as well, see what's on the market. So you can see here there's not many. There's one down the road here at 360. You can also look at rental as well. click on for rent. Okay, I'll click back on the camera icon on the top left here. That will take me back to the photos. Now, what you can do next is, all right, so the confidence scores come back red. Do not use that sale estimate. So how can we find out, okay, what's it potentially worth? Well, what are 3-bedroom houses selling at in the area? And so this is where you can scroll down to the research tools on the left-hand side, and you've got some icons here that you can choose from. So there's 3 that you can actually use. You can do a sales radial search, sales for street, or sales for suburb. So if we click on sales for suburb, that's probably the most broad way of finding out what 3-bedroom houses are doing in this area. So let's just click on that. And this will then give you the opportunity to set your criteria. So if we click on display photos, you can set the time frame. You can click on more options to then set the property attributes, including land size as well. So if we just set it to 3 bedrooms, just because that's what our target property is, click on search. It will then quickly run a report and show me all 3-bedroom houses that are sold in this area. Now, if I scroll down, we'll have a map. And next to the map tab, we have search summary. And if we click on the search summary tab, we can see now that 40 3-bedroom houses have sold over the last 6 months. And the lowest property sold was $417,500 and the highest was $620,000. We have an average of $517 and a median of $516,500. So quite quickly you can work out whether your target property is below the median, below the average of the area, and whether there's potential for you to do an uplift to get it into a higher price bracket. So with an asking price of $370 or more, that will become, if you end up getting it at that price, that will be the cheapest 3-bedroom house paid in the last 6 months. So definitely an opportunity. Even when it was asking over 400, probably a little bit overpriced, but it gives you a quick snapshot now. You can establish exactly the price range and where your target property fits into that price. Now, as we scroll down, you then get to actually see all 40 properties available to you. So you can look at the photos, you can look at the sale price, days it took to sell. So this gives you an idea on how quickly properties move. You can also see the real estate agent, the first listed price, last listed price, and what it ended up selling at. Now, a really good tip, if you're looking at buying and renovating and selling, this is actually going to be quite useful because you can then identify which real estate agents are quite popular in the area or seem to be engaged the most, but have a look to see if they discount a lot. Because if they discount a lot, then that might not be an agent you want to engage in to sell your property, because obviously you want them to get the best price for you, make sure they don't, price it too high and there's going to be discounting. So this is a really good tool just to see how agents perform from a selling point of view. Now, if there's any properties, as you go through the list, if there's any properties that aren't comparable, you can just simply untick the checkboxes on the left-hand side, and then you can hit update results, and that will remove any of those properties from your search summary, and it will update the reporting data there for you. All that data, you can click on print page, just like the property report. You can save them into a PDF, or you can actually export them into Excel as well. So really good if you love using Excel for reporting purposes, and it doesn't take long. I can open that up straight away, and you've got access to a lot more information than what's on screen, but you can then see exactly all the property information, lot plan, sale price, owner details if available, attributes of the property as well. So if let's say, for example, you're looking at a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, and you're potentially wanting to add an extra bathroom, you can then use Excel to work out what 3-bedroom, 1 bath prices are and compare it to 3-bed, 2 bath prices. Is there a big enough gap there for you to make a profit by doing that? Okay, so that's the working out sales in an area. That allows you to work out what the target properties is really valued at. So if there is no valuation estimate, for example, in that automatic algorithm in the property report, this is the next best thing that you can do. And this is exactly what real estate agents do when they do property appraisals for you. It's actually looking at the photos and then working out, is it better, worse, or the same than your target property? Okay, probably two other things I'll just show you from a research tools point of view. Rentals for suburbs, so you can just click on that icon there, and that will then allow you to set some criteria, just like with the sales. How long you want to go back in terms of time frame, number of bedrooms, and then simply just hit search, and it will just give you a list of properties that were advertised for rent based off your time frame. And if it's been rented, it will have it in brackets as well, that it's been rented. So we've got a fair few there. Okay, suburb flyover. This is just give you a quick overview of how the suburb has been trending from a sales point of view. So if we click on suburb flyover, oh, looks like it's timed out. So let me just go back. All right. So you can also just type in the suburb at the top of the address bar, like we did before with the property. Let's see why it's not popping up. Okay, Ferny Hills. Default to suburb flyover. Click on the search icon. It's just another way of accessing it. So here's a suburb flyover report. So you can change it by property type. We're looking at houses. So you can see sales all the way back from 1999, the number of sales, how the median prices change in the dollar value and percentage, and then you get the price range as well. Now the years are actually clickable links, so you can actually click into a specific year and then have a look at all those sales or run reports and target it down to a specific property type as well. Now, in the suburb flyover, you also get access to census data, so things like demographics. Now, it is a bit out of date. It is based off the 2011 census. Now, we're hoping that the 2016 census data will be made available to us sometime this year, so then you'll get some updated information. So you get access to things like age of population, family composition. You look at housing, so things like income, dwelling structure, and then also things like level of education, employment as well, all available through here. And then the two last tabs there are recent sales and recent rentals. Okay, so there are a couple of tips and tricks from the My Value, My Research, a lot of information available. Now, also, you probably noticed that as you click through and run reports that there is a little trail of menu or menu heading that gets added to the top left-hand corner here. So if you click back to the one at the start, that'll take you back to the home screen. So just a couple of things I want to show you here. So there's some tabs here. I mean, the property search is essentially what I did, just simply putting in an address in that address bar at the top there. This just allows you to put in the details in separate fields. So maybe you're looking at just a street or you're looking at a range, you know, number 10 to number 30 on a street, you can do that. Or you can search by a lot and plan or a building name. Market activity, so let's just say you don't have a property of interest, but you just want to see the number of sales or what's for sale, what's for rent, or what properties just exist in an area, then you can search by a suburb, postcode, parish, or even a local government area. We then have the statistics tab, so that's the suburb flyover, which I already went through. Region comparison, really good tool if you want to compare up to 5 suburbs or regions, and it basically just pulls that suburb flyover in a summary and you can compare them side by side. Really, really good if you're looking in a particular area, perhaps that has already peaked, then you can also just run a report on the sister suburbs, because if you're familiar with the ripple effect, you know, once a suburb becomes too expensive, people still want to be around, live around there or rent around there. So have a look at the suburbs next to it and see perhaps which ones are the cheaper ones that may take off next. And then we have phone search available as the last option. Now, if I go back to property search, the last thing that I want to show you through My Value, My Research is the map search down the bottom here. Now, what you can do here is actually target specific areas of a suburb or specific parts of the street. So if I just zoom in here, what you can actually do is say, okay, well, look, I don't want sales or rentals for a whole suburb. I just want it for a particular area that I'm interested in. And so what you can do is use the icon at the top here, the box with the shaded color inside, and then you can actually left click and move your mouse and draw the area of interest. And so all you have to do to change direction is left click and then move your mouse in the different direction. And then when you go back to the start, double click, that will then highlight the area that it will run a report for, whether you're looking at sales, ownership, listings or rentals, and it will only pick up properties that fall within that shaded area. Another good tool, now if I just click on the rubbish bin to delete what I've drawn, if I go to say something that's waterfront, so obviously when comparing waterfront suburbs to non-waterfront suburbs, there's potentially going to be this big discrepancy in terms of sale price. So what you can do then is use the other box with no shading in the middle, and then you can actually draw a line and again just click to change direction, and it will then only bring up properties that hit that line. So I thought I'd just show that to you. It's just it makes it a little bit more customizable. The map search is a great way of searching. Again, you can, like the address bar at the top, you can put in a suburb, a street, or a specific property in there. All right, so from a renovation point of view, I hope that's been helpful, guys. Now, we do have some time available left, so I'm just going to quickly go back to Investor Search and show you a couple of ways to search for cash flow opportunities. So let's go back to the tab here. I'll just go back to the home page. And I'll just click on Reset All Filters and just delete everything that I have. Okay, so there's a couple of ways that you can search for cash flow positive properties. So like the renovations, you know, you put in your location, your price range, but the keyword strategy, so if you select positive cash flow, this will find any properties where in the ad it's got keywords like 10% yield, 8% yield, cash flow, double income, granny flats, student accommodation. So again, you can untick any of those keywords that aren't relevant or exclude keywords too. So I know some of my clients will put in words like holiday, so they don't want any holiday homes or anything in a retirement village. So you can put in those keywords to exclude. So use those keywords, have a look. Now, just because in the ad it says that it's 10% yield or 6-7% yield doesn't mean that after the expenses and loan repayments that you're still going to be cash flow positive before tax. So that's where Property Analyzer, the tool that I showed earlier, is going to be really, really useful because you can analyze it in much more detail with accurate information and see what your gross and net yields are going to be. Now, the other way to search for cash flow positive properties is to actually don't use the keywords and use the property specific options and select property yield, say minimum 6%. So this is going to be basing it off the potential advertised rent on the ad and also what's advertised, the advertised price. So it's simply just annualizing the rent and dividing it by the asking price. Now, if there's no rent advertised, because we've got access to so much information on every suburb, every property type, we can roughly work out, based off the advertised price, what the rent may be. So you can use that as a guide, but again, do your research through My Research. You can do a rental appraisal, maybe from an agent as well, find out roughly what you can rent it out for and use that. So if we do a similar thing, let's just go radius search. We'll go within 20 Ks of Brisbane, price range under 500, and we'll go property yield minimum 6%, and we'll hit search. So we've got 544 potential properties that meet my criteria. And if we just look at that first one here, it's asking 255. The median gross yield for a one-bedroom unit in Brisbane is 6.8%. And based off this particular property's information, current potential rent's $330 a week. Cash flow potential before taxes just a little bit over $1,000. Potential gross yield 6.7%. Now, if I click on see full property details, in the ad, you can see that it says currently renting at $330 a week. Now, not all ads will have the expenses, but in this particular case, the listing agent has put in the body corporate rates information in there as well. But it's always good to double check. Okay, so obviously a lot of listings there. It's all about then refining it. So just clicking on the left-hand side there and refining your criteria further to then be able to go through a much shorter list. Now I'm just going to go back. There's also a third option where you can search. So let's just say you're not too fussed on the property yield itself. Maybe you're looking at something to potentially renovate at some point. Then what you can do is use the suburb rental yield field. Now what this does is it will show you properties in suburbs where on average the suburb has a minimum 6% rental yield. So that way then you can find a property that perhaps isn't attracting that yield at the moment, do a bit of a cosmetic renovation, for example, and get an uplift and be able to increase your rent to then achieve what the average of that suburb is attracting. So if I now just change that filter and then hit search, it will go through and only bring back suburbs where the minimum gross yield is 6%, 560, so same one as before, but if I scroll down, we're getting a couple of different suburbs as well. So this one's a good example. See how in the snapshot there's no current potential rent. That's because there's no advertised rent for this particular property, but based off the asking price, we've been able to roughly work out what that rent may be. But again, like I said, click on Analyze in Full, talk to the agency if you, and do your research through My Research and see if you can work out what the potential rent this particular property could rent out for. All right, fantastic. So that's the cash flow positive search. We've done the renovations as well. And we've got a few questions coming through. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you an extra tip as well. So back on the home page of Real Estate Investor, now let's just say that you just want to get an idea of what suburbs are attracting the highest yield at the moment, or which suburbs potentially have the most renovation listings. So we've actually got some suburb reports that we've generated based off the listing information that we have access to. So if you scroll down the homepage, once you've logged in, obviously, under the resource section at the footer of our website, you can click on Suburb Performance Reports. And we've got a few different packs that are available. But if you refer to Pack 5, Top Suburbs Growth, Yield and Affordability, we have a report under Australia called Top 200 Highest Yielding Suburbs. So if you click on that, that will actually open up in a PDF document. Now we update these on the 1st of every month, so they'll be current as of 31st of January. You can then actually see which suburbs and what type of property in that suburb is currently attracting the highest yield. So you can see in this particular report, if we look at number 3 in Warree, one bedroom unit or studio, a median price is $62,000, median rent $190, giving you a potential gross yield of 15.93%. Now obviously, by the time it gets to the top 10 or top 20 in the report, those suburbs may have already had a lot of interest from investors, from home buyers, and it may be becoming too expensive. So you can always then do your research around that target suburb. Have a look at the suburbs next to it. There may be potential there. Now, if I go back to the suburb reports, we also have another one that focuses on renovations. So if we minimize that one there and we go to Pack 5, movers and faders, in here we have a report called the suburbs with the highest percentage of renovations listings. So if we open that one up, this just gives you an idea based off the listings again and the keywords of renovations, which suburbs at the moment, what type of property. So number 1, Holland Park West across all of Australia, 3-bedroom houses, 9 listings, which account for about 47% of the total listings available, have one or more of those renovation keywords. So it just gives you an idea, maybe there's some potential there. They may be older suburbs, given that there's a lot of agents using those keywords there. You might be able to find yourself a good renovation deal in a suburb there. All right, fantastic. So that concludes the live demo. So let me switch back across, and we'll got a couple more slides, and then we'll go into the Q&A. So look, like I said, we'll be running these training webinars on a fortnightly basis. So I hope that's been useful to everyone tonight. Now we do have a lot of help and support available for the Pro membership. So we do have the knowledge base, which you can access. So there is a link there, but when you're logged in, you can actually just click on the knowledge base icon, and that will take you through to a lot of useful training videos that we provide. Live training webinars such as this will be uploaded there as well. And you can also watch videos that are based on each tool. So you can watch a video on investor search, on My Research, on Property Analyzer, or we also have strategy-based videos as well. So if you wanted to watch a subdivision video, unfortunately I didn't get a chance to cover that tonight, we do have pre-recorded content available already on different strategies. All the on-demand videos are available on our blog as well. So we do have a lot of webinars that we've run on different topics. I'm sure some of you guys have probably tuned in to some of those webinars before. There are articles, infographics, case studies, all available on our blog. The link's there. It's also available again, just scroll to the bottom of the page, just like where the suburb performance reports are, and you can click on the blog to access it directly from the site. Now, for those that may perhaps require some additional support and assistance, we do also offer a premium membership, which we introduced last year. Based off a lot of client feedback, we had some clients that didn't have much success in finding a property because they were time poor. The premium membership is actually for the hands-off investor. So if you want an easier way to purchase your first or next investment property, this could be an option for you. If you'd like some more information, you're welcome to register for a free no obligation consultation call to see if we can help you purchase an investment property this year. And I'll fire away that link there into the chat so you can actually just click on that if you like, and we'll see whether or not we can help you get into your first property or your next property.